Hey, it's Peter here with my FSHD. Well, welcome back for part two of our discussion with our FSHD teens. Remember, we have joining us, we have Eva joining us from Croatia and Pano from Melbourne, Australia. And we have Kana and Kate and Maggie and Benji and Sam joining us from across the US. And, part one, we discussed their initiative, Cure FSHD for All. And here in part two, we're going to discuss, well, they have some questions for me. And we're just going to get more, just probe their minds, see what's on their minds. And I'll do my best to answer their questions. And I got a few questions for them about, well, quite honestly, I talk with a lot of parents and about how to have these discussions about FSHD with their kids and their teens and what's going on. All right, so let's get back and rejoin the discussion. All right, so we're back, and what we're going to do now is I'm going to let you all ask me any questions you have about FSHD, whether it's diagnostic, therapeutics, how the disease works, how your, whatever. Does anyone have any questions for me? Me and me. Pano, what's your question?
I want to know what the current roadblock for the treatment to be found is, and what will be the estimated cost, and how available will the treatment be if there's an estimate?
Man, right out the gate, some tough questions.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the big. Okay, so the roadblock to therapy is it's really hard. I mean, I don't actually think there's a technical roadblock anymore. Um, Up until 2010, we didn't know what the gene target was. 2010 figured that out. And just having been in the business for a long time, taking something from the lab to the clinic, it's just really, we needed tools. That's what my lab has done is we've built tools. We built mice and pigs. There's a number of labs that have gotten patient biopsies to work on. So I think the field has tools. It's dominant gain of function disease. So those of you, you guys would know that what you have to do is get rid of something. You guys are your muscle cells are making something bad and you got to get rid of it. So there's a lot of technology that's available for that. The hard part is getting that technology in a safe way to all of your muscle cells. And it's a delivery issue, a manufacturing issue, and a toxicology issue, right? A lot of you can, and ultimately, going to get to exactly what you mentioned, it's going to be a cost issue. Okay, so I think that's none of the companies have come out to say how much their drug is going to cost, but it's going to depend on what happens. So the when Fulcrum Therapeutics had losmapimod, I don't know if you heard about that. That was the first drug that kind of failed, but you're going to take 2 pills twice a day for the rest of your life, right? That's how, but the cost of that was probably going to be north of 70,000 American dollars a year. I'm putting that number out there. They might come back and give me grief, but we did some math on that. What you'll hear about is gene therapies cost $1 million. Have you heard about these $1 million drugs? Right? Like SMA is $1 million drug. It's a gene therapy for spinal muscular atrophy. Sounds like a lot, but over 20 years, that's $50,000 a year. It's actually cheaper than the Fulcrum drug would have been over 20 years, right? So cost is a tough thing. It comes down to how much, production cost of development, manufacturing, all these things play into it. So avidity, for example, some of you know about the avidity trial. That's an injection where you need to get an injection every 6 weeks, right? Eva would have to travel somewhere every 6 weeks to get injected, right? For the rest of essentially, there's a cost, right? So there's a travel cost, there's a cost of getting injected every 6 weeks. If that same drug, similar drug, could be every 6 months, it would cost less, right? If it was once a year, it would cost less. If it's going to be every 4 weeks, it's going to cost more. So the bottom line is these are going to be expensive, and that's going to be the next fight. The next fight is going to be, how are you going to feel when you have a drug that will work for you and you can't access it because insurance won't pay for it, the government won't pay for it, and you can't pay for it? It's be infuriating, won't it? Maggie?
I have another question for you. Why wouldn't companies work hard to jump over all of these hurdles if it would mean having more customers? Like jump over hurdles to get um, kids and people who are non-ambulatory in trials, since that would mean more customers in the future.
Right. So, from a company perspective, the most important thing is to get approval that you need to show that your drug works. And this is why inclusion and exclusion criteria are so strict. So the last thing that they want is to have a drug that works but fails clinical trial because there were non-responding people or they weren't able to track responsiveness of the drug in the trial. And so while all of you are upset that you're not allowed in trials, the math has been 9 out of 10 people that sign up for a clinical trial don't meet the inclusion criteria. There are a lot of people that I've heard of that are very angry. So most people don't make it into a trial anyway. Okay, and it's actually, from a perspective, so it's not really thinking of it as customers yet. Step one, you have to show phase 1, 2, your drug is safe. And then phase 3, show that it's effective at a safe dose. And then from there, once you know you have that, you can then think about more about your customer base and expanding that. And so it's a different thing to start with something that you know works. So we know this is going to work on the most ideal set of responders to a therapy. Okay, so that's why the inclusion, and that's how they're looking at it. The problem, you're waiting that whole time and you can't, so you'd be willing to take a drug, as long as it's safe, you'd be willing to take something that might be beneficial before you know for sure that it works, right? I think everybody would say yes if there's a potential for benefit. That doesn't help a company get approval, right? That actually, so in the end, the answer is it comes back to a business type of question. So that's why I was thinking, is there a way that we could incentivize company to do something that doesn't affect, so they can run their normal trial, something's safe, it works in a mouse, it works in cell culture. Could we get you all into some sort of trial? This is kind of the expanded access angle of it, right? Get you access to something where you're not going to, if you don't respond or if you respond differently, it's not going to affect the approval process. Could we motivate the company to do that? Because there's really no motivation for them on the path to include you. The motivation is to get the drug approved and then apply it to the widest customer base they can get. And if they have to go back now and take something that's approved and see if it works in kids, you're going to have to wait even longer. You guys don't be kids anymore, and non-ambulatory. And you see this in some of the other drug therapies. So it's not a good answer for you, but the mechanism of drug development is you just have to make sure that the drug's working. And so they're just incredibly sure. I would make the case that you all would still be the better. I would rather have you all, because we talked about at the very beginning, the therapeutic window. I think you have the best therapeutic window of seeing if something is working. They just don't agree with me on that, but that's what I think. So we're going to change their minds. Any of y'all interested in science? Any of y'all interested? So let me ask you guys a question. Again, since you guys are thinking, okay, what are your future plans? If we're gonna have a therapy, we're gonna stop the disease and we're gonna start you on the path back. What are your careers gonna be? So Eva, what would you want to do? What are your life plans going to be when you get treatment?
I'm not really sure because I don't think about the future a lot. I don't like to think about the future, like, but
I like to think positively.
I like to think positively. I want to say that, but for future, I'm not sure.
Sure. You don't, if you had your choice, are you interested in science? You interested in the arts? And you just don't even,
I'm interested in IT, informatics, and coding and stuff like that.
oh, cool. So computers and coding and so, okay, interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. That's kind of curious. Kate, I'm kind of curious. What would, once you get this treatment, once we get this behind you, what are your thoughts about the future?
I mean, just like overall, I want to be able to like complete daily tasks that somebody without it could do, like drive or live on my own.
So that's,
Because I wouldn't be able to drive because I can't like move the steering wheel or click the gas pedal, and I'd have to have like a caretaker live with me because I can't do anything by myself anymore.
so we're not talking about turning you into a pro athlete. We're talking about you want to just be able to drive and and live on your own. That would be a great,
Yeah, I just want to be able to live like a person without FSHD.
interesting. Um, Kana, do you have what are you interested in?
I like animals and science a lot.
Oh, you could be like a
Mm,
vet or something like that, or
yeah.
something. No, that'd be kind of interesting. How about Benji? What do you like to think? What would you look at the future? What does your future hold in your ideal situation?
Um, well, kind of adding on to what Kate said, I feel like most of us um lack independence and want independence. I don't even think, well, speaking for myself here, I don't even like if I don't get full strength back or anything, I kind of just want that independence and being my life being a little normal so I can move out and get a job and all that.
All right, so yeah, get a job again. So okay, so it's interesting. Yeah, actually, this is one reason I love talking to the community is, uh, well, I hear all sorts of different perspectives. But that's I think people are thinking, oh, you're going to want to, you might say, yeah, I'm going to be a pro hockey player. It's actually just you want to be able to live on your own, just have a job. Interesting. How about Sam? What do you?
First off, even if you have a condition like this, I think you can still do whatever like you plan to do. Of course, it's going to be harder, but I think you could. But I think, yeah, if a treatment came out, it'd be a big leap towards independence. So, like now, I'm 20 and, thinking about, I want to go out and on my own. And, with this condition, it's proven hard to find employment and thinking about living and stuff like that. Like that's always been, such a weird boundary to get through. A lot of people get out and get your job, you start saving it and stuff like that. I can't get the basic stuff, started because I can't start that like a fast food restaurant, or something like where someone will start normally. So you have these weird barriers that you have to get through. Yeah. So for me, like independence would be the biggest thing because I still think I can do whatever, my goal. I think I can still achieve that. It's just the stuff in the background, like just daily living. It'll make it so much easier.
All right, Pano, you're gonna. How about you?
Yeah, as I'm probably the most capable functionally here, I think I had no idea that some people, like, I thought I was bad, and I can run as much as I want to. And hearing Kate how she's saying that she just wants to drive a car, which as a kid I've generated to love the driving and working outside with tools and stuff like that. And how I've generated as a kid, once I started realizing my body will decay when I got older, my future dreams kind of decayed because everything that I love doing involved like at least holding my hands up in front of me, and I can't even do that. So I don't know what how my future will look like. It's very hard to picture it, but yeah.
No, because I think that, again, I'm getting to the message that I want to get out and I want to make sure I convey when I talk all around the world, talk to a lot of different groups. To me, it's just, again, just the quality of life, right? It's just this idea that FSHD, well, it's not that bad. It's just a slow progression. You just slowly get worse over the course of your lifetime. I mean, that's not the case, right? Maybe for some people, but not for a lot of you, right? For a lot of you, it's a case of, really, when you think about what I'm hearing is, I'd like to be able to drive, live independently, right? That's but I understand what Sam's saying though, and there's something, right? You're going to fight through it. You're going to get things done, but it could be a heck of a lot easier, right? It sure would be nice to have some things done if they were easier, if you had a treatment and a cure. And time is muscle. 3 years ago, if each of you thinks about where you are and where you might be 3 years from now, when there might be an approved drug, that's a steady decline, right? And so we gotta get something done now, right? We want to get something. Like I said, there's a lot of companies getting into the space, a lot of different therapeutics. So do you understand there are a lot of companies out there that are working on this and different therapeutic approaches. So I'm fully convinced that we will have a therapeutic that stops progression in the near future. But I want to get you all your muscles back too. So, and I'm convinced we'll be able to do that to some degree as well. There's some cool technology I'm not allowed to talk about publicly out there. But can I ask you guys just a question? I got a question because I diagnose a lot of kids. I have a lot of family. I got a lot of parents. In fact, I just had a call last night with somebody who was a mother who I just got a research test. I'm not legally allowed to diagnose anybody in the U.S. And she has a kid that 50% chance of being affected. From your perspective, I mean, thinking about your siblings and thinking about how does a parent, maybe this is not a fair question, how does a parent talk about this with you all? I'm curious if you have any advice for me on what I should tell these people. Kate, do you have a?
So I feel like a lot of people might disagree with me on this, but I feel like you should just be straight up and be like, you have FSHD and this is what's gonna happen. And you just gotta tell them because it just makes it so that they actually know what to expect and they can find people that they share experiences with and connect with so that they know that they're not alone and they also know what to expect with their life as what they're probably not going to be able to do in a few years because it just makes it a lot easier so that they know.
So you all probably knew that there was something kind of wrong with you long before any sort of diagnosis. How about Maggie?
We knew that there was something going on, and I think that since we already knew that something was happening, getting this specific diagnosis actually was a little bit of a relief to me because I had a reason behind what was happening. Like, I did track and cross country and I lost every single race, and just having a reason behind that made me, I don't know, feel a little bit better just knowing that, I don't know, it's not my fault. So,
So do you have siblings?
yeah, I have 3 brothers.
Yeah. So how did they react to you? Is it? I understand they kind of. I know one of your brothers has had a middle class project benefit.
Oh yeah, yes. Yeah, they've been supportive, which is nice. Which, yeah, it's been
Really good to have family support. Yeah. It's just Eva. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of kids used to say to me like, "How can't you smile? Like, can you smile more?" And I just sat there like doing my best, but they just didn't notice that I was actually smiling. And also, when I was younger, I used to do taekwondo, and I couldn't do a single sit up. Like,
Okay.
no. So I not thought nothing of it. Like, I can do a sit up. Maybe I will do it when I grow up. Like, well, that wasn't the case. So yeah, as I started to grow like older, when I reached age 10, it really the symptoms were really visible.
So do people, so how does it feel when everyone's around, they say, okay, we're gonna take a picture, everybody smile. And then they get on your case and say, come on, smile, give me a big smile, come on.
Yeah, I I get it. They can't understand, but I'm really doing my best. Yeah.
So I'm curious, I've heard from some people that people accuse them or thought of them as being depressed. People say, why are you so sad? Why are you unhappy? You know, what's wrong? Nothing wrong, right? I mean, well, something's wrong, but I mean, you're not right. I mean, I've heard people have to go to therapy as children. One guy told me, he said his childhood was ruined because his parents forced him into therapy for depression. So I wasn't depressed. I just couldn't smile. I turned out he had FSHD. I mean, it's so how would what do you all do? So you don't want to, people mean well, right? They want to say smile, but can you how do you deal with? I mean, that must just be a real pain to have to explain to people that you're trying to smile, or do you just not even you just say forget it, don't worry about it? Kate,
Uh,
what do you do, Eva? What do you?
uh, a lot of people tell me that I have a really serious face. Like when they see me, like I don't smile or anything at all. That I'm really quiet and things like that. But I don't know. I don't really explain. Like since I have a little bit of a smile, I so there's really nothing to explain.
There's nothing you want to help. No, just does it make you not want to go out?
Not really,
Good.
but yeah.
Well, I always worry. I hear some parents tell me that their kids after a diagnosis just like won't come out of their room and do some stuff, and you can't let this beat you, right? You just. How about when you're in a wheelchair and you're out and about? What's that like being your age? Is Kate?
Well, so I have two different mobility devices. I have my big wheelchair that I take most of the time, and then I have a little like bike type thingy that I bring to school because it's a lot smaller. And obviously I don't really look like a normal person in a wheelchair. Like I'm bent forward and it looks really unnatural. So I get stairs and it's like you get used to it, but it's also like it's really annoying. And it's just I try to just it's fine. I ignore it. But
So
again, with the smiling, school picture day is a nightmare. Because like the picture lady will come in, she'll be like, smile, and I'm like, it's pretty like it's a smile, and then she'll be like, more teeth. If I try to smile with my teeth, only half my face, it looks so I'm just awkwardly just and it's a nightmare just overall.
that's interesting. So one concern that I have with people, when I see people in a wheelchair or whatever, and we actually there's someone on my floor in the building that she's in a wheelchair in a research lab. I've never actually asked her why. I just feel it'd be rude to say, so what's your deal? I mean, why are you in a wheelchair? What's wrong? I mean, it's just, she clearly just wants to be treated like everyone else. Yeah, she's in a wheelchair, but you know what? no one rushes to get the door. She'll get the door if she needs to, but if I'm there, I'll hold it. And but it's an interesting. I'm concerned that while it is great that you guys are raising awareness, you don't want your life to be consumed by FSHD, and you don't want to be defined by FSHD. The first thing, if you say, "Tell me about yourself," I have FSHD. I would not want that to be for any of you. Yeah, you have FSHD, but that doesn't define who you are. This is a temporary thing, right? So when people talk to you, I just worry that people are always going to want to tell me about what's going on. How do you deal with that? You just or what would be your advice for people that see you in public, Kate?
So I'm a camp counselor, so I get that question way too many times a day. And I just explain to them in like the simplest terms I can. I'm just like, I have a chemical in my body that basically eats my muscles. Simple, and it gets annoying because it's repetitive, but also like people don't know and they mean well. They just want to be able to understand you. So I just don't worry about it and just explain. You don't have to. You can be like, I'm not comfortable sharing that information, and I've done that a few times, but it's like you have to figure out what you want to do with that in that situation because it's different for everybody.
Right, it's a tough call because people do generally mean well, but sometimes meaning well just makes a real pain for you and gets annoying. So I'm curious. So Kana, I ask you this: how about when you're out in public, you just want to be treated like everyone else, or and do you have any advice for when people see you out in public? Just
I'm used to it and I just ignore it. So,
you just go on your way and just don't let it just bounce off.
yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Sam? It's you're out in public a fair bit.
I mean, I think people have a bit of, I want to say like a bias and uncertainty when they see, because I think they kind of go through that same mindset of what do I say? Should I do? I think just being yourself is kind of just the best thing, Or just like, just a dude like you. There's nothing really all that different. So I think, yeah, people get nervous, and I don't blame them for it. So like my advice to them is just, talk to me like you would to anyone else. There have been lots of very annoying times where even I'll have adults talk to me like I'm five, you know? Like it's very like it doesn't happen so much more now that I look much older, but even when I was like 16, I get kind of weird, pity, toddler speak from people. So I think don't over don't overthink about what you should say to that guy in the wheelchair. Just talk to him like anyone else.
Yeah, that's right. My friend Dan Perez, who founded the FSHD Society, has been in a wheelchair the whole time. I've never known him to walk. Met him 20 years ago, and yeah, Dan's just regular guy, funny, smart, ambitious, does all sorts of stuff. Yeah, it sucks, but yeah, just a regular guy, right, out and about. And but he has told in one of his stories that he tells me he just goes to the airport and this group of people comes over and says, "Can I pray with you?" And they all want to circle him and pray for him. Well, did you do that for anyone else? I mean, they mean well, but I mean, come on. It's just kind of on the other side, actually, on an odd story, Dan and I ran in. Dan's wheelchair broke down. I was out with Dan, and his wheelchair broke down outside the restaurant. We were in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and nobody would help. On the other hand, so it kind of said, but of all the people that go by, you're not gonna believe it. The people know who walked by, the Dalai Lama. That might not sound believable, but the Dalai Lama was in Boston to give us talk, and was staying at the hotel we were at with the restaurant. And our wheelchair breaks down, and I'm helping Dan fix his tire, and the Dalai Lama with his little buddy that he travels with walked by. They just went right by. You're right to the elevator. But that was our Dalai Lama story. We saw the Dalai Lama, and it would have been nice if he had stopped to help with the wheelchair. But it's interesting. It's Dan had always, that's one thing that always kind of stuck with him because he's just that's why I kind of brought up, just a regular guy, just like Sam said, you know, and one of the smartest people I know. But I got to tell you, it bugs me when to hear Sam say people talk to him like he's a child still, because I will tell you that the there are some of the most amazing people in the world have FSHD. I know people that you would recognize their names if I could tell you, but there are captains of industry, people like Bill Moss in Australia, right? From one of the most famous, most successful financiers in Australia has FSHD, right? I mean, Chip Wilson with FSHD at Lululemon, people, it's almost to the point where we're starting to wonder if people with FSHD are smarter than other people, because there are so many people with FSHD that are just brilliant and creative. There's this creativity, and so this idea that just because you're in a wheelchair, just because you can't raise your arms makes you some sort of idiot or something, it's just ridiculous. So I hope you don't ever buy into it, because I mean, you'll maybe surprise yourselves and your parents. Don't ever think for a second that there's something that you're limited by. Physical, one thing, whatever. But your physical limitations, you guys are probably problem solving in your head all the time, right? I got to do so. I don't even think twice about doing anything. You guys got to figure out how to do it. I think you guys are training your brains to be permanent problem solvers, whether it's Pano fishing on his dad's boat, you got to get the fish that time. You get those squid in or whatever you guys are catching lately, or or if it's just a matter of dealing with kids at the camp, right? You're a camp counselor, right? Or dealing, just being, it's whatever it is that you're doing regularly. You're problem solving all day, right, Benji? When you get up in the morning, you gotta get through the day. I don't gotta think twice about getting through the day. You gotta make sure you get through the day, right? Figure it out, and you don't know what you're not going to be able to do today that you could do yesterday. Or do you ever find that out, that suddenly you wake up and you're like, holy cow, man, I could do that yesterday and I can't do that today? Yeah, everyone's nodding their head. Maggie?
That just happened to me recently. I used to only be able to raise my right arm. Like I couldn't raise my right arm over my head, but just recently it felt like it happened overnight that it happened to my left arm too, which is another hard thing because we go to bed every night not knowing whether we're gonna wake up and another muscle is just gone. So
So that gets back to the time is muscle, right? Neil Camardo with his time is muscle. Everything that does that weigh on you at all? Do you ever kind of wonder, what is it tomorrow I'm not going to be able to do? You kind of think about that? Some concerns with that, yeah. Well, one problem I have is I will talk forever because I am from the Midwest and we talk a blue streak, that's what we call it. And so I'll keep you here forever. So but I think we're gonna kind of wrap this up a little bit. And I want to make sure, first off, everybody, I'm just going to share my screen really quick again. I'm going to say, okay, we're going to go over here. I want everybody out there listening to tell your friends, share it on your Facebook page. I want, to put it on your Instagram feeds or whatever. We're talking about curefshdforall.com. Sign the petition. We're going to show everybody, we're going to look at everyone around the world. And we're gonna, just make sure that we can have a documentation of getting the voices heard. Read through this too. I was reading through this a little before. The mission, how to participate. There's actually a lot of good information on this website that y'all have put together. Understanding FSHD. You can click on all of these things. Clinical trials guide. If you're interested in clinical trials, you can go to clinicaltrials.gov. Research updates. I guess my email's still open. Early onset, there's a YouTube. Go into the YouTube channel and you can see a bunch of information and YouTubes about this. You have the pediatric trial here. So there's a lot of information. Everybody get on here. Everybody needs to be included in not just access to the therapy when it's here, but into the process of the therapy. I'm going to, I hope that actually recorded. I don't know if I saw the little squares around me. To make sure everybody's involved in the process and has access. Make sure that we don't have any excuses for leaving our young adults. out of this. Y'all have the most to gain, the most to lose. And I'm going to work on some ideas. So the two things I'm working on, and everyone can help me with this, is spreading awareness, especially in Viva, in Croatia, or any if you have friends online in other countries, make sure they're aware of My FSHD. I have a foundation, myfshd.org, and we do free testing for FSHD everywhere in the world. And we're going to find the young adults everywhere in the world with FSHD. We'll find more in Croatia. We'll find there. You guys are everywhere. There's a lot of you out there. Power in numbers. Okay, sharing stories. Keep sharing your stories every chance you get. And we're gonna see. I'm gonna come up with a plan. I like the plan. X prize, Y prize. I'm gonna see if we can't get some sort of incentivized plan for. And one thing that people know about me, I set my mind to something. We get it done. We're gonna incentivize biotech to have arms to their trials that include non-ambulatory people looking at serum biomarkers, and also moving more towards individual metrics for clinical trial success. I think we have a lot of volunteers that will volunteer immediately for something that will have to show benefit. All right, so I want to thank you all for joining us. I'm going to give you all each just a chance to say bye, say one last words on the way out. Anything, anything? Pano?
Yeah, I'd just really like to thank you, Peter Jones, for testing me and my family for FSHD and finding my diagnosis in the quickest manner. I appreciate this a lot because this helped me understand what is happening to my body quicker and help me plan earlier. So anyone else who is worried about possibly having FSHD, to definitely go for your testing.
All right. Well, we're happy to help out. Glad we could help out. And I'm glad we were able to do it pretty fast. So, Benji?
Peter, I just wanted to thank you and thank you for advocating for us and all that you do.
Again, always happy to help out, you guys. I'm thanking you guys. All right, Maggie.
And thank you for inviting us to come on the podcast. So thank you for that.
Oh, we're happy, glad. Thank you for taking your time, Kana.
Like the others said, thanks for all you're doing.
You guys are, my people. Oh, by the way, I want to thank you all for sending the Christmas card every year. I don't always send a thank you, but I love the Christmas card I get from you all. Eva, do you have any parting words?
Yeah, thank you very much for everything. I also want to say that even though this is very hard for us, it teaches us consistency and hard work.
That's true. I gotta say that everything else in life may seem easier compared to this when you kind of move on as you get going to the next thing. You've already been run through the ringer. So yeah, that's absolutely. Kate?
This is gonna get very repetitive, but thank you. This is so fun to be a part of and to spread awareness about us and our situation we got here.
Now I feel guilty. I didn't mean to have this be one thing. I'm just saying, well, I'll just take the thanks from the whole research community, let me tell you, because I'm just the little face that's out here. Sam?
Yes, also I'll say thank you for having us. I think this was a good opportunity for us to finally, share our thoughts. It gives us a good medium to finally, get this out to people so they can understand.
All right. Well, I really appreciate y'all doing it. And from the researchers, I got to tell you, we don't get out of lab much. And I'm very fortunate to get to meet you all. Researchers are just like you, and they're trying their best. It's really hard, and people really, really don't think for one second that you're not on everybody's mind. The researchers, it's tough, but really there's progress being made, but it is always good to put a face to what we're doing and to say, this is why we get up every morning. This is why we're going into the lab. This is why we're doing things to help you all, help the FSH community. Help is on the way, okay? And we'll get back in touch. I'll be back in touch with y'all. If you ever have any questions, you can always kind of give me a contact. I'm happy to answer science questions or what's going on. And maybe we'll meet up again in a few months and see if I've made any progress on my motivational approaches to all my industry contacts that I have. Because I want to be able to give you all good news, right? It's not tough. All right, well, we'll say, Boyd, God, Eva, it's 3 in the morning or something over there. I hope you, thank you for getting up for us. Pana, go out, hope you all have a good day. Thanks, everybody, all across. Thank you, parents, for setting it up, and really appreciate you all joining us. Okay? See y'all.
See
Bye, thank you.
All right, see y'all. Thank you.